Hey y'all, today is January 26th and we're talking about solving multi-step equations with variables on one side. This is a little mini lesson, so grab a piece of paper, a pencil, your calculator, and let's get started. So first things first, to solve multi-step equations, we're going to follow these steps. Our first step is always to distribute if there are any parentheses. So distribute means we are multiplying the number outside the parentheses with what is inside of the parentheses. And that's how we get rid of the parentheses. So that's always step one. Step two is to combine like terms if possible. Now, like terms will have the same variable or they're just plain old numbers. So look at the side with all the numbers and see if there are any like terms that you can combine. And then finally, step three, we're going to use inverse operations to solve the remaining equation. So those steps will make a lot more sense as we get started with some examples. So let's look right here with number one. I have negative 136 equals 5 times 4 minus 4x minus 6x. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign. That will help me see that I have two sides. But before I can start doing the same thing on both sides, I need to get rid of those parentheses, and I'm going to use the distributive property to do that. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. And then I'm going to multiply 5 times negative 4x. 5 times negative 4x is negative 20x. Now, I've done the distributive property. I got rid of my parentheses, but I still have to do something with this negative 6x. It didn't change, so I'm just going to bring it down. So minus 6x. And all of that is still equal to negative 136. So I've done the distributive property. Step two is to look for and combine like terms. So I'm focusing on the side with all of my numbers. So this side right here. Do I have any like terms? Well, yeah, I do. I've got negative 20x minus 6x. And when I combine those, I get negative 26x. So that side is going to simplify to 20 minus 26x. And it's still equal to negative 136. Now, to get x by itself, we're using inverse operations. The first thing I have to undo is this 20, which is positive. So I undo that by subtracting 20 on both sides. So on the side with the x, what happens? Well, my 20s cancel out and I'm left with negative 26x. And that is equal to negative 136 minus 20, which is negative 156. Now, to get x by itself, I need to divide by negative 26 on both sides. So on the side with the x, my negative 26 cancels out. X is indeed by itself. And on the other side, I have negative 156 divided by negative 26. I'm actually going to go to my calculator and put that in. So we have negative 156 divided by negative 26, and I get 6. Okay, so 6 is my answer. Let's go back here. 6 equals x is what I'm going to write. Okay, moving on to number two. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to draw my line down my equal sign to help me see that I have two sides. But before I can start doing the same thing on both sides, I'm going to use the distributive property to get rid of my parentheses. So we're going to multiply 6 times 6n. 6 times 6n is 36n. And then I'm going to multiply 6 times negative 3. Well, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. So on that side, I'm going to have 36n minus 18, and it's still set equal to 90. Now, this is a regular two-step equation that you do know how to solve. So to solve, we're going to add 18 to both sides. We're using our inverse operations, remember? So my 18s cancel out. 90 plus 18 is 108. So I have 108 equals 36n. Now to get n by itself, I need to divide by 36 on both sides. So on the side with the variable, 36 cancels out, n is by itself. And on the other side, I have 108 divided by 36. I don't know that off the top of my head, so let's put that into my calculator. So 108 divided by 36, I get 3. So 3 equals n is my answer. Now, there is another way that I could do problems like this. So if I just have distributive property, there's a shortcut. So I'm going to show you that shortcut. So we have 90 equals 6 times 6n minus 3, right? Let's see if I can move that like so. Okay, so first thing I would do, draw my line. Second thing, I know that I'm multiplying this 6 right here with what's in parentheses. Well, how do I undo multiplication? Well, I divide. So I could divide by 6 on both sides. So my 6's cancel out. I'm left with 6n minus 3 equals 90 divided by 6, which is 15. Now, I need to add 3 to both sides. So my 3's cancel out. I'm left with 6n equals 18. Well, to get that n by itself, divide by 6 on both sides. So n equals 3. I get the exact same answer. So it doesn't matter how you do that, but that shortcut only applies if you have the distributive property only. If you need to combine like terms after you apply the distributive property, that shortcut does not work. Okay? Let's move on to number 3. Well, I can't erase that part. Weird. Okay, moving on to number 3. So see, the shortcut would not work here because not only do I have the distributive property, but I have this like term that I'm going to have to combine later on. So no shortcut here. But first thing we're going to do is draw our line down our equal sign. That helps us see that we have two sides. Now I'm going to get rid of the parentheses with the distributive property. So we're going to multiply 8 times x. And keep in mind, this is a positive 8 that's outside of our parentheses. So we have positive 8 times x. That's going to be a positive 8x. Now we're multiplying 8 times negative 6. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. And I didn't do anything with this negative 8, so I'm just going to bring it down. So negative 8 plus 8x minus 48 is all equal to negative 88. Now, are there like terms that I can combine? That answer is yes. So negative 8 minus 48, those are like terms to combine. So negative 8 minus 48 is going to be negative 56. So I have negative 56 plus 8x equals negative 88. Now, to get that x by itself, the first inverse operation I need to do is add 56 on both sides. So on the side with the variable, my 56 cancels out. I'm left with 8x equals, on the other side, I have negative 88 plus 56. And when I combine that, I get negative 32. Now, to get that x by itself, I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. My 8's cancel out. X is by itself, and x equals negative 4. So my answer is negative 4. Okay, moving on to number 4. Again, this is one where that shortcut does not work because not only do I have to apply the distributive property, I know because of that n, I'm going to have to combine like terms. So we're going to go ahead and draw our line down our equal sign. Oops. Let's get the tool that helps me have straight lines. Okay, so now we've done that. We're going to get rid of our parentheses with the distributive property. So I'm going to multiply negative 3 times n. And keep in mind that's a negative 3 that's in front of our parentheses. So negative 3 times n is going to be negative 3n. And then I have negative 3 times negative 7, which is a positive 21. Now, I haven't done anything with that n, so I'm just going to bring it down. So I have n minus 3n plus 21 equals 31. Now, do I have any like terms? Well, that answer is yes. I've got n minus 3n. Well, I want you to think of this n right here as a 1n. So I'm going to go ahead and write that 1n. So now I have 1n minus 3n, and 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So I have negative 2n plus 21 equals 31. Now this right here is a regular two-step equation that you know how to solve. We're going to start by subtracting 21 on both sides. So on the side with the n, the 21's cancel out. I'm left with negative 2n equals 31 minus 21, which is 10. Now to get that n by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 2 on both sides. So my negative 2's cancel out. N equals negative 5. Okay, so that is my answer. Moving on to number 5. So number 5, I've got 4 times 2v minus 9 equals negative 12. I'm going to first draw my line down my equal sign. And this is one where I could use the shortcut, but I'm going to go the traditional route and use the distributive property. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 2v. 4 times 2v is 8v. Now I'm going to multiply 4 times negative 9. 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. And that equals negative 12. Now I've got to get that v by itself. But let's first make sure I don't have any like terms. Do I? Nope. Remember, I'm just looking on one side. I don't have any like terms. So I'm going to solve this like a two-step equation because that's what it is. So to solve this, I'm going to first undo subtracting 36 by adding 36. And I do that to both sides. So on the side with the variable, my 36 cancels out. 8v is by itself. And negative 12 plus 36 is 24. Now to get that v by itself, I need to undo multiplication. So I'm dividing by 8 on both sides. My 8's cancel out. V equals 24 divided by 8, which is 3. V equals 3 is my answer. Okay, last one, number 6. We have 132 equals negative 6 plus 3 times 1 minus 5p. So we're going to draw our line down our equal sign to remind us that we have two sides. And I can't use any shortcut here because that minus 6 means I'm going to have to combine like terms eventually. So we're going to start with the distributive property right here. Okay, so the number that's in front of parentheses is positive 3. So we're going to multiply 3 times 1. Okay, so 3 times 1 is 3. So that's positive 3. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times negative 5p. 3 times negative 5p is negative 15p. Okay, now I haven't done anything with that negative 6, so I'm just going to bring it down. So negative 6 plus 3 minus 15p equals 132. Now, do I have any like terms? Well, yes, I do have some like terms. I've got negative 6 plus 3. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So I have negative 3 minus 15p equals 132. Okay, now I have a normal two-step equation. I can use inverse operations to solve this. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So on the side with my variable, my 3's cancel out, and I'm left with negative 15p. On the other side, I have 132 plus 3, which is 135. Now, to get that p by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 15 on both sides. My negative 15's cancel out. P is by itself. And 135 divided by negative 15 equals negative 9. So P equals negative 9 is my solution. That is the end of our mini lesson for multi-step equations with variables on one side. Bye, y'all.